since you went first last time, Dad, I will take the liberty of going first this time. So my top 5 NASCAR drivers, and this is obviously going to be Cup drivers. I'm not going to throw a random Xfinity driver or something up in there. So at number 5, I have none other than Rowdy Kyle Busch. It's got over 200 wins across all the NASCAR series, 2 championships now in the Cup Series. And this is actually one of the few on the list that was more inconsistent with crew chiefs. He's had multiple crew chiefs over the time he's been in the series, and kind of goes with his personality and how kind of hardcore he used to be. He's lightened up a lot since he's been to Childress, and randomly we find ourselves rooting for him. Whether you like him or not, though, Kyle Busch, definitely one of the greatest NASCAR drivers of all time, and especially if he can get a 3rd championship, that will even solidify him into the top 5 and maybe even elevate it a little bit further. At number 4, this is going to raise this is going to stir up some stuff, I'm sure, have this guy this low. But I'm going with Jeff Gordon. I mean, yeah, might be a little bit low, but you'll know why once I got the top 3. Jeff Gordon, obviously incredible career. Filled in for Junior towards the late part of his career, so had consistent finishes. If he wanted to, he could probably still go out and race. He's still a very prominent figure in NASCAR, working as the vice president for Hendrick. Over 90 wins in his career, 4 championships, and that was mainly with Ray Evernham. So there's kind of a consistency with these top 5 that coming up with these next 3 as well. So the next one, and this is one that actually went from crew chief to crew chief as well. I'm going with Dale Earnhardt Sr. 7 championships. You could probably guess who the top 3 are. They're going to be all the 7 times. We're going to do a little bit of spoiler alert. You get 7 championships, you have the most championships in any.
That's not my top 3.
Well, you're wrong. And so 7 championships. Well, I mean, what can you say? He's the Intimidator, the best restrictor plate racer out there that's ever been. I'm not even going to debate it. I mean, just that. 3 for Dale. That's all I got. Number 2, I have Jimmy Johnson, the other 7-time, the newest 7-time, and the newest inductee of the NASCAR Hall of Fame. You can't really argue with what he's done. He went through so many different cars, winning 5 championships in a row. Now, consistency there, Chad Canals. He had him in his entire career. So it takes more than just a great driver in general to win all these championships. You got to have a consistent crew. You got to have a great crew chief. You got to have a crew chief that tells you, hey, you're wrong. And that was a lot with JJ and Chad Canals. So with all the different cars he had to race through, when you went through the crappy car tomorrow with the big ass wing on the back to the modified car tomorrow that still was an ugly square box, up to the newest generation, just everything across the board. Impressive runs from Jimmy Johnson. So he's my number 2. And number 1 is the King, Richard Petty. Yes, he's got 200 wins, and yes, they raced 7 million times a year, it seemed like, but to race through so many different decades and from different racetracks, whether they were dirt, I don't think he raced on the beach, I don't believe, but he raced literally everywhere. Conveniently gets his 200th win when the president flies into Daytona, but we're not going to talk about all that because there's some obviously NASCAR conspiracies we might get into later this year. But yeah, number 1, I've got the King, Richard Petty. So we'll see how that list stirs up, but go ahead with your top 5 NASCAR drivers of all time.
Well, we have the exact same 5 drivers.
Just different order.
So number 5, I got Kyle Busch. I agree with, he's probably one of the greatest of his generation, if not the greatest of his generation to come out running NASCAR. Like him or not, most people didn't like him. I didn't like him when he was in Toyota. Gets married, has a kid, gets a little older, he kind of settled down. He's not as much of a dick anymore. So number 4, and this is where it changes up a little bit. I have Jimmy Johnson at number 4.
Okay.
And the main reason for this is his championships all came in the chase or countdown era. I don't weight that the same as my top 3 guys. They all won their championships the hard way through being consistent the whole year, not just being good the last, 10 races of the season. So at number 3, I've got Jeff Gordon. Main reason for that because he's one of the last that's really done it old school, let's call it. So at number 2, gotta love him, the Intimidator, Dale Earnhardt, my personal favorite. Just he's the guy every regular guy wanted to be. He was too cool. He was like the Darth Vader from NASCAR. I mean, he could have his own theme song and it fit perfect. And like you said, number 1, how do you argue with 200 wins? Richard Petty. Yeah, I understand that they had way better equipment than probably most other teams, but he still won it. And won big tracks, small tracks, super speedways, dirt tracks, the whole deal. It's pretty hard to argue with him. And as an honorable mention, I'd like to put in David Pearson, 105 feature wins, and I don't think he really ever ran more than a couple seasons full time. So that's really quite impressive that he would do. He was the king of Darlington there for a while too. So
yeah,
but yeah, that's our listeners. Great minds think alike, I think.
Yeah, and again with our list, outside of Dale and Rowdy, the drivers had the same crew chiefs their entire career. Obviously, Richard Petty had Dale Inman, Jimmy Johnson with Chad Canals, and Jeff Gordon with Ray Evernham. So again, it takes a whole crew to win championships. Kyle Larson proved that when he won his championship a couple years ago, and it still hangs true to today. You need to have a good crew all around, have a chance to win, especially in the modern era, how everything is set up too.
Yeah, it's pretty impressive how as many crew chiefs as Kyle Busch has, and they instantly have success right off the bat. Because it usually takes, there's a little bit of familiarity you got to get with each other, kind of know what you want to know what they're thinking just by the tone of their voice and things like that, and they just worked out so well for him that it never even missed a beat. So that's quite good. But Earnhardt had Andy Petrie for a long time.
Yeah.
So he didn't really have too many different crew chiefs.
Yeah, but I'm just thinking, just like literally the same guy was the entire time with those others. One thing that everybody watching and listening needs to know, though, how big of Earnhardt fans we were and we are whenever junior races. The year that Dale died, 2001, is when my brother Michael was born. And obviously, being the redneck-ass family we were like, what do we need? What are we going to name? What's the middle name going to be of Michael? And without hesitation, everybody's like, Dale. Yep. So that just shows a little bit how much we love Dale. And I don't remember too much of watching him race. I do, however, remember all the ESPN things flashing on the screen of Dale's death. Randomly remember that. But, yeah, that just goes to tell you that's how much of Earnhardt fans we are. So, yeah, a little fun fact for you guys.
Yeah, we were Earnhardt fans before it was cool to be an Earnhardt fan. And that's why you